The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. I welcome everybody in. Anthony Hartwig with you. Whether you're watching for the first time or a consistent watcher, we thank you for your time and your attendance into Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here on Running Point every day, as well as on YSN. Got a great show for you today. We're going to have the recaps of last night's action. We had boys games. We had girls games go on. We're going to have previews of the weekend as well, including tonight and the weekend. So we have tournament games, a lot of tournament games, a lot of sectional finals to talk about tomorrow on the girls' side. Last day of the boys' regular season tonight. Everything's kind of boiling down to this last Friday as teams try to sharpen their teeth before their first tournament games happen on Tuesday. So a lot to talk about today. We're also going to have Taylor Cope from United pre-recorded interview to play for you guys today as well. Senior there. So it's going to be a fun day. But as always, we start with the recap of the night before and go over the scores that happened last night. And it was a big night. We'll start with the scores that came in last night. And we always just go from the first score that came in order. So no particular order. Here we go. We had Lisbon get the 84-33 win over East Liverpool Christian. And you might look at that score and glance over it and think, ho hum, Lisbon dominates, nothing special about that night at all. But hey, you would be wrong, because it was a milestone night for Lisbon. Trevor Sifke, he came in needing 13 points to score 1,000 in his career, and he finished with 24 points. He is the 13th player in Lisbon basketball history on the boys' side to eclipse 1,000 career points, and he's the 8th player to do it under current head coach Chris Huxhold. So you look at the career of Hux, as we lovingly call him in that sweater vest. 8 players in his career at Lisbon have gotten to 1,000 career points, and I think that's a hallmark and a kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? And an evidence of proof that the fact that he develops players so well. You could say, oh, he's just been given talent. Maybe you could say that if he has, 3 or 4, but when you have eight 1,000-point scorers, I think that goes past just him getting lucky with talented players. Obviously, all those players in the Lisbon program, including Trevor Sifke, have been extremely talented, and that's not taking away from their God-given abilities. But when you have that frequency of players get to 1,000, there's something that goes past talent. It's hard to get 1,000 points in your career. If you play, let's see, there's guaranteed 22 regular season games a year. I'm going to do quick math on the air, because why not? Calculators out, because I am not a math major. But let's say you play, you're guaranteed 20. We'll be generous and say 24 games a year. You win a tournament game, you play 24. So 24 times 4 is 96, and 1,000 divided by 96 is 10.4. So you have to average double figures in your career. If you play all games freshman to senior year. That's if you play as a freshman, by the way. So not everyone starts as a freshman. We all understand that. There have been plenty of 1,000-point scorers that do it in their first 3 years, whether they start as a sophomore or they have it as a junior, like Trevor did. He's just a junior. He's played 60 games in his career to get to 1,000. That's an average of about 16.6 repeating. So you round up and you say that's 17 points per game for Mr. Sifke. But back to the point is, it kind of goes past talent. One, you have to have some luck because obviously you have to stay healthy for 4 years, which is hard enough in a sport like basketball. But then I think you have to have great coaching. I really do. I'll stand by it. I mean, especially like I said, a program to have 8 under Chris Huxell. I think that takes consistently good coaching to develop these players and to be able to consistently let them grow from year to year to year. Because you could average, let's say, average 15 points per game your freshman season, but we see a lot of players do that, as a freshman. But then they just kind of lose gas or they lose steam. They have that sophomore slump. Maybe they average maybe let's say 6 or 7 points per game the next year. And then after that happens, they start to deflate themselves a little bit. The confidence starts to go down, and maybe they don't get to 1,000 because of that, right? Maybe that sophomore slump hurts their confidence, takes their confidence down, and they don't necessarily get to 1,000 career points. But what a great coach will do is they'll turn, okay, you had a sophomore slump, or maybe they'll even help you avoid the sophomore slump altogether. Keeping kids' confidence through 4 years of varsity basketball with a tough schedule. And the EOAC and the boys basketball world this year has proven that it's tough. It's a tough schedule. It's Wellsville, it's Southern twice a year, it's Wellsville twice a year, Columbiana twice a year. These are hard-nosed defensive basketball teams. So to be able to consistently go and say every day, every game throughout 4 years of my career, I'm going to score at least 10 points or average 10 points in your 4-year career, and to be able to say that but not like for Chris Huxell to say that I've been able to have 8 kids that have done that through my coaching career at Lisbon. I think that's just a little feather in his cap. I know he will never take the credit for that. He's the guy that will absolutely push all the credit to his kids, which is another reason why he's a great coach. But I'm here to say that I think he has a part of that. He has a role in making kids consistently good inside that program. Like I said, if it was 1 or 2 or maybe 3, you could say he got lucky with some talented kids that came through his program. But when you're consistently getting kids to score 1,000 career points and be that kind of impact player on the varsity levels, you're doing something right. You're doing something right as a coach. You're doing something right as a program. So hats off to Lisbon for the win. They'll play Malvern tonight. That's going to be a tough test after the dominant performance last night. They're going to have to come in with a refocused attitude. They're going to have to take that momentum, that energy from Sifke's 1,000 career points and drive it right into tonight, because Malvern is a really, really good basketball team. They're a monster basketball team. Lisbon's going to have a very good effort to go out and beat Malvern tonight. So hopefully for the Blue Devils, they can take that momentum. They can take that energy that they just got from their teammate scoring 1,000 career points, and they can carry it into tonight, because that would be a big win to end the regular season and go into tournament play to say we beat a Malvern team that is highly respected in Division 4. So hats off to Lisbon, hats off to Trevor Sifke, and hats off to Coach Huxell with another 1,000-point scorer in his coaching career. That makes 8 players in his career that have had 1,000 career points. Logan Stafford also had 12 points. Alex Schaefer had 11. Treffler had 11. And then the Warriors were led by Owen Boucher. I hope I'm saying that name right, with 21 points on the night. 19-1 Malvern is the record for Malvern, by the way. So that just backs up what I said about them being a very good basketball team. They only have 1 loss on the season. We'll go to some other scores around the area last night, as it was on the boys' side. Louisville getting a really tough win over Canton Central Catholic, 66-59. Big night last night because The Louisville boys basketball program retired the number 1 jersey. Will Aljansik's number 1 will never be worn again in Louisville boys basketball. I don't know if that probably doesn't extend to the girls' side. It's probably just a boys program, but that number 1 has been worn by an absolute legend in Will Aljansik, one of the best players to come through Louisville, and it gets retired last night. Coach Siegfried does it, and it was a cool moment to see Will Aljansik hold the framed jersey. They picked the away jersey, which I think is so slick. The dark blue on the light blue on the dark blue. It's really slick, and no one's going to be wearing number 1 in Louisville for the rest of the program's history. So congratulations to Will Aljansik on having that number 1 jersey retired. Louisville gets the win to cap it off, and it was senior night as well. So senior night, retire night, and in a win against Canton Central Catholic to give it all a boot. So what a night for Louisville and their basketball program as they now prepare for tournament play. That'll be the girls in action tonight for tournament play. So a busy 2 days in Louisville with all that going on last night, and then the girls opening their tournament run tonight against Hudson, who upset Uniontown Lake to get to that. So Hudson, the 24 seed, but don't sleep on those Explorers. They beat Louisville out of the tournament last year. Some more scores from last night. Edgewood got the win over Conneaut, 65-52. Final score there. We saw Southern Local get the win over Columbiana, 50-41. Southern has another EOAC game tonight as they travel to Latonia. I'll be in the Bears Den for that one, so I'm excited to see this Southern team face to face. They still have a little bit of life inside the EOAC after that win. You go to yslive.com and look at the standings real quick in the EOAC while we're talking about it. We're talking about Southern. We already talked about Lisbon, and obviously Wellsville is in there as well. But we go up, and Wellsville right now is sitting at 11-2 on the season in the conference. Southern 10-3. So Southern's right there. Lisbon out of it at 10-4. But if Southern can get one more win, 11-3, obviously they're hoping that Wellsville takes one more loss. But if Southern wins, then they will have the chance to share the EOAC. They have to have Wellsville lose their last game, of course. But Southern still kicking. They still have life in the conference after their win last night. The final score again was 50-41. Then we saw the Valley Christian boys beat Heartland Christian 69-54. So those are your boys' scores on the regular season from last night. As now we'll go into the girls' tournament games. There were 2, and they were both out of Division 1, and I will start with the game that I was at. Hoban got the win over Cuyahoga Falls. 64-28 was the final score in this one, and Hoban came out very focused. I think they understood that they did not play up to their standard on Saturday in their sectional semifinal against Kent Roosevelt. Talking to Coach Davis afterwards, I think that was kind of clear that she wasn't happy with the performance Saturday. The players weren't happy with the performance Saturday. The players I talked to said it was kind of nerves. It was their nervous game. They got it out of the way. They were able to come away with the win. This one of those games, it's a young roster. People forget about the fact that they lost so many seniors last year, so many really good seniors, and they only have 3 seniors this year and a lot of youth on that roster, especially that starting lineup for the Knights. So those young players were a little bit nervous on Saturday. They all admitted it. The nerves showed up. They didn't execute the way that they wanted to, and they almost got bitten by Kent Roosevelt. They were able to escape with a big fourth quarter, but they scored 43 points in that game. So to tell you how focused they were coming into this game, remember they scored 43 against Roosevelt for the whole game. And then last night, they scored 46 in the first half. So in the first half, they had more points than they had the entire game on Saturday. They were a well-oiled machine last night. They were the Hoban that we all have come to recognize and to know what they play like. Their defense was suffocating. There were times when Cuyahoga Falls couldn't even inbound it after a Hoban make. I mean, they didn't know what they were doing. They would forget who they were so frazzled. It was so frazzled. They would have miscommunications on who's going to take the inbound. It was one of those games where I think Hoban's tempo and their defense and their pressure really hurt the mentality of the Cuyahoga Falls Tigers. They were just, I felt like after the first quarter, especially, they were mentally out of this game. There was no way they were able to focus. They were making unforced mistakes at that point. Like I said, they were forgetting that someone had to take the ball out. They were that just kind of frazzled by this high pressure defense. In the first quarter, it was so dominant. They didn't come out that way. The Tigers did not come out frazzled, but they got it really quick, really quick. This Hoban defense was on them in a hurry. They were pressing them. They have height. They have a long wingspans. I mean, Riley Bennett is someone that is tall enough to be a post on any team, but kind of plays the power forward type of position. She can play on the perimeter. They can post her up whenever they want. But that being said, they have her guard some guards, and so to have someone with that kind of wingspan trapping you on the sideline, that's not easy. And Hoban's guards are not small either. They have a lot of height, a lot of length, a lot of wingspan. Maybe not a lot of height. They don't have a lot of girls that are like 6'3", 6'4". But I feel like when I look at the arms of these Hoban girls, their wingspans are very big. They probably have the good ape index that the swimmers use. I don't know if the swimmers use the ape index on your wingspan compared to how tall you are, and that tells the swimmers how good their strokes can be and how much water they're able to displace on a stroke. So they use that to calculate, how many rotations they need and things like that. But I feel like the ape index of the Hoban girls basketball team is high. I feel like it's pretty high. But they're able to win 64-28. It was a balanced offense on that side. The offensive side, very balanced. No one kind of stood out as the superstar. There were no awesome performances of 20, 25 points. They were led by 13. Their 13 was their high score with Mackenzie Edinburgh. She scored 13. I think Kennedy Arison had 11. And then they had a couple players with 9, a player with 8. So it was just chip in, chip here, chip here. When you could have balanced offenses like that, the Cuyahoga Falls defense was kind of doing the topsy-turvy, spinning around, looking out for who had the ball, who do we stop. It was a clinic of dominating basketball, and it was exactly what Hoban wanted. Because like I said, they didn't really play well on Saturday. They didn't play well in the sectional semifinals. So they came out in the sectional finals and they said, we're done with the lack of focus. If you're going to play a team that is the favorites, you do not want to play them after they didn't play well, right? Because you got to know that they're not going to have 2 games like that in a row. So Cuyahoga Falls came into this the wrong timing. They might have been able to catch Hoban if they played them on Saturday. It wasn't the case. Because Cuyahoga Falls had good players. Like I could tell, like, oh, that girl is confident. She knows what she's doing in basketball. Mackenzie Kramer was a 1,000-point scorer. So Cuyahoga Falls was not a team that came into the game like they didn't know basketball. They didn't know what to do. It was just this defense that completely messed with their mind. It was a mental collapse. And by the end of the game, like I said, the Tigers they weren't even mentally focused. They kind of just shut down. They let this defense get to them. And if you let Hoban's pressure get to you like that, it's lights out, game over. They call Kidney Harrison KO for a reason. Her defense is knockout, right? It was a knockout in the second round for Hoban last night. 64-28 is the final score. Hoban advances to the district semifinals at Perry High School on Tuesday. Now, their opponent was decided last night, too. It also involved the Ysn School. Boardman, the 16 seed, traveled to the 11th seeded Shaker Heights. And it was a close game. It was back and forth. 46-43 was the final score. Shaker Heights escaped with the win. This Shaker Heights team is really good. It's a really good basketball team. You look at their conference. They're in Warrensville Heights Conference. Warrensville Heights is a favorite in the state for Division III. They're going to be in the Cuyahoga Falls region in Division III. That tells you, one, how good that conference is. The fact that there's a Division I team in it in Shaker Heights, and then there's a Division III team in it in Warrensville Heights. With that being said, their only conference loss were 2 to Warrensville Heights. So they compete in a very good conference mixed with really good teams. And they're fast, they're athletic, they trap, they press, they like to run the floor. But remember what I told you yesterday when we was previewing this game? It could get into a high-tempo affair where both teams are running the floor with each other. Boardman's just as athletic as anybody. And that's what this turned into. It turned into a high-tempo offensive game. And Shaker Heights just had a little bit more in the tank. It was that simple. They had a 4-point lead with about 2 minutes left. Boardman couldn't make that last push to take the lead, but they got into position. Kind of like a NASCAR racer coming down the last couple laps. Can I get into position to make the pass? Sometimes you just the team counters. The racer cuts you off, right? And in this race, in this high tempo basketball game, Shaker Heights just kind of turned and cut them off, and Boardman couldn't make the pass to stay with the racing analogy. 46-43, the final of that one. Boardman ends a really, really good season, and they have a lot coming back next year. So things are looking high in Spartanville for sure, but they lose 46-43 to end their season to Shaker Heights, which means Hoban will take on Shaker Heights in that district semifinal on Tuesday in Perry High School. That game is slated for 6 o'clock. As the tip-off time, it'll be one of 2 games in Perry. Our familiar non-YSN team Green is on the bottom end of that bracket as well. Green and Hoban played each other this year, and it went into overtime. Hoban was able to win. So if that ends up being the district championship game, it's going to be a lot on the line, not just a trophy, but some bragging rights, some revenge for the Bulldogs who think they gave one away, and definitely some proof for Hoban who that they would be going for their 4th straight district championship if they're able to take care of Shaker Heights and make it to that title game. So that'll be fun to watch to see if those 2 teams can meet in the district championship. Where I root for good basketball, so that's what I'm rooting for, because that's a good storyline. If Green and Hoban meet each other up and they played each other in the regular season and it went into overtime, it was a very close game. They're both evenly matched. So if that's the matchup I'm rooting for, to be completely blatantly honest. Obviously we're rooting for Hoban because they're a YSN school, but shout out to Green. We've been able to cover them a couple of times this year. They've been really good to us. They've been very hospitable with their time. So we're rooting for a Green Hoban district championship. Hopefully that can happen, and hopefully it'll be a good matchup. Those are your final scores from last night. Congratulations to the girls teams that moved on, and obviously the boys teams that get a win. It'll be the last night of boys basketball regular season tonight on a Friday, which we'll preview a little bit later on in the show, as well as the tournament games that are going to be going on Saturday. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have the senior from United, Taylor Cope. We're going to play her interview and see what she had to say about her senior season as United gets ready for a game against Southeast on Saturday in the sectional final. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hi, I want to tell you about my Trish Yearwood home collection available at Sheely's Furniture. With 2 locations serving Ohio and Pennsylvania, Sheely's is one of the country's top sellers of my home collection. And the best part? At Sheely's, you never have to wait for a sale. They offer everyday low pricing as well as a price match guarantee, so you can shop the Trish Yearwood home collection with confidence. Come see my collection with something to offer for every room in your home and get it all with free local delivery, only at Sheely's Furniture.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here on Running Point every single day. Going the extra mile today, we're going to share an interview with you with a senior from United on the girls basketball side, Taylor Cope, one of the dominant players of that Eagles basketball team, and someone who I think pretty under the radar as far as when we talk about girls basketball players and the ones that are shining so bright. I mean, when United is talked about, this is rightfully so, well-deserved. We've interviewed her earlier in the season as well. Maddie Kibler gets mentioned a lot. She's the one that makes that go. She's the ball handler. She's the shooter as well. But I think their offense, and I've had a chance to see it live once and on YSN a couple of other times, you know, when it's flowing really well, they like to run it through Taylor Cope. They like to put the ball in her hands and then develop the play from there, whether it's her scoring or her getting the ball somewhere else. A lot of their set plays go right through Taylor Cope because she's dependable. She's a dependable player that doesn't put the ball in danger. Very good basketball player, very good athlete. And I had a chance to interview her a little bit earlier this week. And here's what she had to say in that interview about her senior season and United's chances in the upcoming district tournament. Hope you enjoy this interview with United senior Taylor Cope. Anthony Hartwig with you for another United girls basketball player profile. I'm joined by another senior and Taylor Cope. Taylor, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And here it is, your senior season. So I guess the first question is, what's it like going through everything kind of for the last time and realizing that you have to navigate all the emotions that senior year can bring?
It's kind of crazy to think that this is my last year that I'll step on the basketball court, especially with my teammates this year. It's kind of sentimental, and I just want to enjoy everything that I can while I have it.
What has been the one part of this year that you've kind of treasured the most, or you've like reflected on the most, or made the most sentimental value to you?
Just the fact that the teammates that I'm playing with this year, we are ungodly close, which makes me extremely happy to know that I have a team that I can rely on and fall back on when I'm having my tough times, especially when we're out on the basketball court.
When you say that you guys are so close, what do you think is the most important part of building that bond and making it as strong as it is now?
I think communication is something that we've always lacked, and sometimes it could get better and sometimes it could get worse, but communication is the biggest key that I think of when I think of a team bonding together.
You've obviously been able to build a lot of chemistry as well, and a big part of that is what you do off the court and things that you do as a team off the court to build chemistry. What have been some of your favorite team bonding exercises?
Well, actually, that's ironic. We just did a fun practice a couple weeks ago, and we did musical chairs. So Coach told us to line up the chairs, and he played the music. But when you stopped, you'd have to run to the side hoops to make a layup without traveling and come back and try to get to the chairs before the other girls did. And you'd think the biggest girl on the court would be the first one out, but I was actually the second one left. And I just think that those fun practices are what makes us bond the most. And they give us time to just relax and be with each other instead of focusing on all the worries that we have when it comes to playing tough games.
You finished second. Who finished first?
Grayson did. She beat me.
Two of the bigger girls on the team, both apparently really good at musical chairs.
Yeah.
When you think about, like you said, the hard times that come through a season and the worries that you guys all have, and the adversity that basketball can bring, what are some of the things that basketball helps you forget about those kind of things and helps you kind of be almost therapeutic when you're on the basketball court?
Well, I've played since I've been little, and it's always been something I've been able to step in the gym, shoot a ball, and just forget about everything, especially when you come home from like a tough day of school. Just knowing that I can go to the gym and shoot and go over the stuff that we need to makes me just want to relax. Like, it's just therapeutic.
We've talked to some of your other teammates, and one of the things we brought up is the past success of United Girls Basketball. You go in that gym and you see the banner of the 5 straight league championships not too long ago. What does it mean to you that now you've won 2 straight and you're starting to bring United Basketball back to the glory that it was at not too long ago?
It definitely holds us to a higher standard, knowing that we have something to look forward to. It's almost like pressure on us to make sure that we are keeping that throughout the years. And I hope that they do continue that as I graduate and that they do have success in the program once I leave. But it's just crazy to think that the program's coming around again, and I'm just beyond proud of everybody for it.
In the last couple of years, when you've kind of been building this reemergence of United, did you ever catch yourself looking at those banners for motivation and for like just the inspiration of what you guys want to be?
I think that now that I've entered my senior year and throughout my junior year, I think it meant a little more to me than it did versus when I was a freshman and stuff. Because as a freshman, you don't really look at that stuff as it's a big deal. But then you enter your junior and senior year and you realize you don't have that much time left. So everything counts when you're on the court. So looking at those banners and knowing that I want to be one of those great people too makes me just want to drive myself even harder.
Since you brought up yourself as a freshman, when you reflect on your freshman year, what kind of things do you wish you knew back then that you know now?
I wish that I could tell myself that time goes way faster than you think, because just yesterday I feel like I was starting my first varsity game, and now I only have as many games as we can go for tournaments left, and it's kind of scary, but I wish my freshman self would be able to take it a little more serious. I think I didn't really think that time would go so fast, but it does.
What about on the court? When you think about your on the court, game, how much have you developed since your freshman year? What do you think has been the spot that you've developed the most in?
I think I've developed in my maturity level a lot. As a freshman, I didn't really understand the court awareness, and I think that's grown as I've grown as a player. I'm a lot more aware of where my teammates are and where I need to be at times. And I think court awareness is a huge thing when it comes to varsity basketball, because that's what it is.
I like that you bring that up, because when you're watching United Girls Basketball on this team that you're on right now, you realize the basketball IQ of you and your teammates is really, really high. What kind of things do you guys do to learn the game and build that basketball IQ up?
We pay attention to key details very often. When we watch film, we back it up, we watch what we did wrong, and we correct it, especially when we're running through plays during practice. I think the key details are what makes us stand out the most.
Last year, you won the EOAC, but you had one loss. This year, you turned the table, you sweep the EOAC. No losses in the conference, no one to share that title with. What'd that feel like this year to kind of prove to yourselves that you could go undefeated in the league?
It meant everything, especially for me as a senior, knowing that I can go out on a high note. Last year, it was upsetting when we went into our last game and we lost to Columbiana. So our huge goal this year was to go undefeated in the league. And we knew the second time that we had to play Columbiana, it would be tough. They were going to give us their best shot. But I feel like me and my teammates did amazing, and I'm beyond happy that we were able to go undefeated this year.
That was one of your team goals. What about one of your personal goals that you had for yourself coming into the season, things that you wanted to accomplish as a player?
I definitely want to go far in tournaments. Everybody does. That's a big goal for everybody. But for myself, I want to go far in tournaments. And I also wanted to be able to put another league title on the wall, knowing that we were undefeated and we achieved that goal.
When talking about tournament time and obviously being a senior and understanding that every game you play, if you lose, it's the last one you have. Does that give you a sense of even more urgency in the practices and the preparation for these games, knowing that your career is, in the horizon?
As time goes on and we get closer to tournaments, I definitely take practice a lot more serious, knowing that this could be my last practice and I might not be able to come back in this gym and play another game. It's almost sentimental to me, and it makes me sad to think about it, but I want to be able to go out on a high note. So I definitely take things a lot more serious when we're in the gym, and I try my hardest to work as hard as I can.
So tell us about the personality of this locker room. We see you guys up on the court and we know how you play basketball, but off the court, obviously you've already talked about how close you are. What's the personality of this team like?
Well, the locker rooms are definitely a little chaotic at times because we are a very loud team. But knowing when we're off the court that we get along so well is what makes basketball so fun for me. They're definitely crazy. They are a crazy team, and I would not trade them for anything.
Let's get to know some of your teammates. If you guys went to a karaoke night, who do you think would be the one person that would go up and rock the stage the most?
Sam. Sam is a nut job. She is crazy. She would definitely be the person. She's the most outgoing. Sam and Addie.
What song do you think Sam would sing in a karaoke night?
Oh, geez. I don't know on that one. I don't know. She's the type of person who'd do anything.
What about if we pushed you up on that stage? What would have to be your go-to karaoke song?
Probably Party in the USA.
That's a popular pick. So when you think about the teammate that you would trust the most to be a getaway driver for whatever reason, who's the best driver on the team?
Definitely not Grace Knight. I would probably pick Maddie Kibler.
Definitely not Grace Knight, so she is not the best driver.
No, she is a crazy driver.
What teammate do you think is the most likely to be the one that needs a getaway driver? Like, okay, you messed up, let's get out of here.
Grace, for sure.
You talk about how crazy this team is. I'm sure there are times when they know how to push coach's button a little bit. What's one thing that that you can get you can push Coach Leake's buttons with?
So sometimes at practice we have to separate Sam and Grace on opposite ends of the court or opposite teams because those two and Katie together are crazy, and then that's when their attention span kind of goes out the door, so we have to make sure that they're separated at all times.
Who is the calming factor of the team, the one that kind of brings you guys back in line when it needs to happen?
Either Addie or Grayson. Addie's more of like a mom to everybody, and Grayson's more of a calmer type of person. So
speaking of moms, we know the team parents are a big part of it too. Who do you think brings the best snack bags to an away game? What parent do you think brings the best?
Probably Tracy McKenzie. So that's Bailey's mom. She makes some pretty good snack bags. So does Katie's mom.
What's something that would go into a snack bag that would make it like a golden one for you?
Oh, Uncrustables all the way.
What about like something that you like to eat before a game? Like that's the post-game snacks. But what do you like to put in before a game?
Probably my chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. That sounds horrible together, but that's my go-to.
Chicken nuggets. Who makes the best nuggets? That's a big question.
I'm gonna say myself because when we pop those in the air fryer, they're crispy.
You're saying you're better than all the fast food places.
Yes, for sure.
I like the confidence. Keep it in the court too. When you think about the songs, the playlist that gets you real jazzed up for a game, what are some songs that end up on that playlist?
Well, we've had a lot of playlists. We like to switch it every once in a while, but I do like my rap on there. I need something to pump me up, and that's it.
Do you have a guilty pleasure song in your playlist that's like, okay, maybe it's not the coolest thing in the world, but I still jam to it?
I don't know if I have a specific song, but I'm not sure about that one.
What about a guilty pleasure in general? Maybe like a TV show that you watch that it's TV trash, but you enjoy it anyway, or maybe a book or a magazine. Do you have any guilty pleasures like that?
I absolutely love Grey's Anatomy. I am obsessed with that. I've seen every single season like 3 times.
That's impressive because there's like 13 seasons.
Yeah.
You're putting in a lot of work to watch watch all those episodes back to back to back. I know that has a lot of drama, and I know that has a lot of deaths in it. So, spoiler alert to anyone that hasn't seen Grey's Anatomy. What death in Grey's Anatomy hit you the hardest?
Derek, it made me so sad.
Dang, I kind of thought you were gonna say that. I felt it coming. But let's talk about your future. Let's get on back to a serious topic. Obviously, you're a senior, which means you're going to graduate and head on to the next chapter of your life. What kind of things do you see yourself doing after high school that you want to accomplish?
I hope to graduate college by the end of that and apply and get into medical school. I'm not really sure what medical school I'm looking into yet, but I'm hoping that after that I can find a job where I want to live.
Do you have a college picked out yet that you're going to go to for those first 4 years?
I do. I am attending Westminster in the fall.
And then you talked about, where you want to get a job, where you want to live. That brings up the question of what's kind of the dream spot where you could plop yourself down and live while you're doing medical school.
Out west looks pretty cool. I've never been there, but it does look amazing. And I'm also a homebody, so it could go either way. I could stay here or I could go there.
Are we talking way out west, like California, or like in the middle, like Colorado or something?
The middle.
That? All right. So you said you're a homebody, but you're gonna have to leave to go to Westminster and live on campus, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
What makes you the most nervous about leaving home and not having those comforts anymore?
Just the fact that I'm not going to be around the people that I'm used to being around every day, like at school, and especially my family, which I'll see on the weekends. I'll come home and see on the weekends. But I think the friend part is definitely the most nerve-wracking for me because I'm not the most social person. So being around the comfort of the people that I know makes me a little nervous.
What do you think is one life skill that you've taken for granted that you're going to miss a lot when you're not, when you're away from home?
My communication with people. I think communication is a big thing coming from anywhere. You have to communicate with people in life. And if you don't take advantage of that when you're younger, then it's not going to be very good when you're older.
All right, Taylor, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to thank your support system and all the people that have been there for you throughout the years and the people that have kind of had your back throughout the whole journey.
Well, I want to thank all my coaches for being able to teach me what the meaning of basketball was throughout all my 4 years of high school. And I want to thank my family for being there for me, especially my dad. My dad's coached me since I was young, and knowing that he's able to be there this year as my coach makes me heartwarm with love. And that's all.
Taylor, thank you so much for the time and letting us get to know you a little bit. We wish you the best of luck in the tournament run. We hope it goes as long as it can, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
Taylor Cope from United joining us a little bit earlier this week, and we're happy to bring that interview to you here on Running Point. What a great senior leader. We have so many of those on the Ysn family that we've been able to interview this year, and she's just another one on the list. And like I said before the interview, I think very much under the radar when talked about girls basketball in the area. When United's talked about, there's other players that get talked about more than Taylor Cope, but when you watch them on film, and especially live, you realize that the offense goes through Taylor Cope. They try to get it to her first. She's very dependable with the basketball. She's not going to put it in danger too much. And she gets the ball where it needs to go. So they'll usually put her in the high post or in one of the posts, and they'll get the ball to her, and then either she can turn around and drive it from there, or she can get the ball back out to, Grace Knight or Kibler or Kidder, one of those players that can hit some perimeter shots. But either way the ball goes, it usually starts with a pass to Taylor Cope. It facilitates through her. The offense runs through her. And the dependable senior, I'd expect nothing less. That was a great interview, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you missed a part of it or want to see it in its entirety, it'll be up very soon on our YouTube page and our website as a piece of content on its own. While you're over there and while you're watching it, I want to remind everybody to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit that notification bell if you are willing to subscribe, because we post a lot of video content on that YouTube channel. You don't want to miss a minute of it. YouTube's algorithm can be kind of weird, and you might miss something if if you're not subscribed. So hit that notification bell so you never miss a minute of any of the video content we put up on our YouTube channel, whether that be player profiles, coaches' corners, post-game interviews, game highlights. They're all up on our YouTube page. We're constantly putting stuff up there almost daily, pretty much daily. I don't think there's too many days that go by that something doesn't go up on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, please make sure to go over there. And if you're so willing and kind enough to give us a subscribe, do that, like our videos, and also hit the notification bell as well. Before we get into the weekend preview, I want to see how YSU baseball is doing. Obviously, Richie Giuliano is down there with the Penguins as they've opened up their season at Wake Forest. They're playing Illinois right now. And a live update, end of 5, YSU is down 6-0 against the Illini. So a tough start to the game, but they still have a whole half of baseball to work with today. They have 2 games today as well. You'll see them in action a little bit later on at 4 o'clock as they'll take on Wake Forest. Illinois, Wake Forest today. Tomorrow they'll play Illinois at 12, and then Sunday they'll have one more game against Wake Forest as well. So with that, let's go into the previews of tonight's action. And it's boys basketball on tap tonight. Like I said, the last day of the regular season for boys basketball. And it starts at 6 o'clock when Wellsville travels to East Palestine. Tim Figley will be on the call. It'll be good to see that community, have a home game, get back to basketball, all the junk that's been going on. You followed it. We were live streaming the town hall meeting a couple nights ago. DJ Oakley's been on top of that. He's obviously a East Palestine resident. East Palestine is home to everyone at YSN. Everyone that works for YSN in some way, shape, or form can call East Palestine home. It's where we work. It's where we go. It's where we commune as a group. Anytime we get together as a group, it usually starts in East Palestine. And to see that community go through what it's going through, be able to get a game tonight and be able to host a game tonight is very, very good. Very good for everybody. Wellsville at East Palestine starts at 6 o'clock, and Tim Figley will be on the call down there. Alliance will go to Austin Town Fitch at 7. Ty Bartell will be in the Falcons' nest to call that one. Alliance just gave a lot of trouble to Louisville not too long ago, so this is going to be a really good Alliance team that comes into the nest tonight. A very good offense, so the Falcons' defense will be absolutely tested. Make sure to check that out. 7 o'clock tip from Hubbard. As Cardinal Mooney comes to town, Jamie Thompson and David Williams will be on the call there for the Battle of the Birds between the Cardinals and the Eagles. LeBray travels to Springfield tonight. Noah Doty going to be on the call in the Jungle. It's senior night in Springfield as they honor their senior cheerleaders and boys basketball players. We talked about Malvern, 19-1 Malvern, coming into Lisbon tonight at 7 o'clock. Rick Daly will be on the call there. Make sure to tune in as Lisbon tries to use that momentum and that energy from Trevor Sifke getting 1,000 career points to get into a win column tonight against Malvern. Maplewood will travel to Middle Ridge tonight at 7 o'clock. Matt Morrison going to go down to Rams country to call that one. Matthews travels to Brookfield. Alec Caberna will be there for that call. Brookfield has a pair of 1,000-point scorers, taking them into tournament time. We go next, and it's a 7 o'clock tip-off. Bob Zanny and the Struthers crew has you covered from the field house as McDonald comes into town. Newton Falls travels to Wyndham tonight. That's also going to be a school-led broadcast. 7 o'clock is your tip-off time there. Niles travels to Howland. Noah Ricks is going to be on the call for that one inside the Tigers' Den. Poland and Canfield, the Battle of 224, round 2. It'll be Ian O'Brien traveling to cover Richie Giuliano, who we just said is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina with YSU baseball. Salem travels to United tonight. 7 o'clock is the tip-off for that one. Chris Ziegler will be on the call. Southern goes to Latonia for their final EOAC game of the season. Southern's hoping for a win and a Wellsville loss to East Palestine. If both those happen, Southern will have a share of the EOAC championship. If Wellsville wins, they will be crowned EOAC champs outright. But Southern has to win first, and they'll go to Latonia to try to do it. I will be there on the call for that one. The Urban Scholars go to Heartland Christian tonight, and that one will be on the network at 7 o'clock. Gio I can never say his name right. I am so sorry, Gio. We thank you for your work. Citriglia. It always trips me out. There's always that. Everyone has one word that either you can't spell or you can't say. So I apologize again, but he will be at Heartland Christian tonight. Valley Christian will travel to Crestview. Larry Scragg will be on the call there. Waterloo will be at West Branch. Michael Janaki going to be on the call there. Both those games tipping off at 7 o'clock. I think this Waterloo versus West Branch game pretty interesting. Waterloo is a very defensive basketball team. They rarely give up more than 50 points. West Branch, same kind of style. They can score for sure, but they depend on their defense too. So I expect a game under 50, a very defensive battle tonight in West Branch as Waterloo comes to town. Wheeling Central Catholic will travel to East Liverpool. Nate and Rob Kelly will both be on the call at that. 7 o'clock is your tip-off. Youngstown East travels to Lowville. Eric Hughes will be on the call there. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off as well. And then we have Columbiana traveling to Jackson Milton tonight at 7 o'clock. And Lutheran West goes to Hoban tonight at 7. Boardman is also in action tonight. They will travel to, Lake. They will travel to Uniontown Lake tonight to take on the Blue Streak. So those are the games that are happening tonight on the boys' side. We already said YSU baseball going on right now, and they'll also play at 4 o'clock against Wake Forest. That one can be found on YSM Live for free. Audio broadcast with Richie Giuliano. One girls basketball tournament game tonight. $9.99 gets you access to it, and it is Louisville taking on Hudson. A little bit of revenge on the mind of Louisville as they try to avenge last year's tournament loss to the Explorers. Bob Burke and company will be on the call. 7 o'clock is your kickoff. What am I doing? It's not football, Anthony. 7 o'clock will be your tip-off between Hudson and Louisville. So we go to tomorrow, and we preview the whole weekend. And tomorrow is sectional final day in Divisions 2 through 4. So we will start with the top. This is on alphabetical order. Alliance travels to Howland, and Noah Ricks will be on the call for that sectional final at 1 o'clock. Andrews Osborne travels to Springfield. Noah Doty will be on the call there. Beechwood goes to Crestview. Larry Scragg on the call. TJ Oakley will be in Salem as they take on Berkshire in their first tournament game. Cardinal Mooney will travel to Lakeview fresh off their upset over Brookfield. Now, Lakeview gets a home game that they probably didn't really anticipate. But this should be a fun one. I think Lakeview and Maggie Pavlansky and their defense plays really well. Obviously, Cardinal Mooney is running high. This should be a very fun game as one team that is either one team higher than a 15 seed. It's 15 versus 18. So someone higher than a 15 seed, 15 or higher, I should say, is getting into a district semifinal. And they will await the winner of Liberty at Poland, which will be at 1 o'clock. I will be at that one. Liberty at full strength. Sienna Smith back on the floor. Game changer. Jimmy Watson, game wrecker. Aaliyah Foster, game wrecker. Can they handle the pressure defense of Poland? That'll be a question that will be answered at 1 o'clock in the Bulldogs' house. We'll have champion at Garrettsville Garfield. The school broadcast team will take care of that. That's our MVAC rematch. The first matchup between the two in Garrettsville Garfield was really close. Garfield won by 3. So can champion pull off an upset in Garfield? We'll have to see on that one. 1 o'clock start time in Garfield. The school's broadcasting company has you covered there. A tall mountain to climb for Columbiana as they will travel to the top seed in Division 3. They'll play Laurel, and Hoppy's making the trip down the Shaker Heights to cover this one. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you tune in. If for anything, just the ability to watch Laurel play basketball, because they're a very good basketball team. And then you might get to see the biggest upset in the state. Who knows? East Canton will travel to Waterloo. 1 o'clock is your start time there. East Canton Wizards on the girls' basketball team. The Hornets everywhere else, but they're the Wizards for girls' basketball. They'll play Waterloo. Ty Bartel will be on the call at 1 o'clock. Lisbon travels to Western Reserve. CJ Schroeder's going to be on the call there. 1 o'clock start time. Niles goes to Canfield. Ian O'Brien going to be back in Canfield. He might be spending the night. I don't know. He's going to be there tonight. He'll be there tomorrow afternoon. Might just put up camp and sleep in that Canfield gym. But we thank him for his work, all joking aside. Sebring will be at Badger tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Matt Morrison will be on the call there. Southeast travels to United. Chris Ziegler will be on the call for that one. Very physical Pirates team. I don't know if they can score enough to run with United, but we'll see. Warren JFK travels to Southern. That should be a really fun one. Dom O'Brien will be on the call at 1 o'clock there. And we'll have West Branch at Edgewood, a rematch of last year's matchup. But last year, it was at West Branch. This year, it's in Edgewood. Battle of the Warriors. Edgewood's the 6th seed, looking for revenge on West Branch as they knocked them out of the tournament pretty decisively last year. We'll see how it goes this year as Casey Kanicki and company try to fend off West Branch. Orange is in action tomorrow as they have a matchup at Canal Fulton Northwest. We are still up in the air on whether or not the school will be down there to catch that one or not. Gerard will also be in Marlington. Alec Burnham will make the trip to the Dukes place to call that one. Some other sectional finals that are going on. East Palestine travels to Middle Ridge. We have Heartland Christian going to Cornerstone Christian. Lowville will be at Chalker. Newton Falls travels to Matthews. And East goes to West Geauga. So those are some of your other matchups that are happening in the sectional finals tomorrow. Remember, divisions 2 through 4 in action on Saturday. And on Monday, we will have the districts decided. There will be district semifinals galore to talk about on Monday. All those games are $9.99. One payment gets you access to all the games on Saturday. So make sure you do that. I would recommend paying early in case there are some technical difficulties. You can get those fixed before the game starts. So all those games start at 1. I would very much recommend buying your ticket, your online ticket at 12:30ish. So if there are any kind of problems, you can have us help you fix it before the game starts. Because we don't want you to pay that and then miss a chunk of the game because there are technical difficulties. So be prepared for that. Who knows? Our announcers go on a little bit early for tournament time, so you'll be able to see them pop up when you buy your virtual ticket. So should be a fun Saturday, full of sectional basketball. I'll be in Poland and I'll be in Latonia tonight. I'm in doing the work just like everybody else. It's going to be a fun weekend. This is Running Point and brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're signing off for the day. A lot of basketball tonight, a lot of basketball tomorrow, and then we'll be back on Monday from 1 to 2 for a new week of Running Point as we venture into the final weeks of February on ysnlive.com. Thank you so much.